Bonjour, ça va? Hola, como stai? G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildcard. Thank you for watching the Wildcard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because two football nations has gone head to head today in a match of rugby. And this was actually a bit of an interesting game in my opinion. You can really tell like the pedigrees of the players. Growing up watching football. The goal kicking for both teams were just immaculate, and the kicking game as well is it's a bit of an interesting dynamic come out of this game, especially with the French team. In the Six Nations this year, the French didn't have Antoine Dupont. They had a bit of a shuffling around the 10 position as well. They already lost, the French style in the Six Nations and wasn't the best results that they were looking for. But coming out of this November Test series, I thought that, especially this game, they're really starting to transition into a style that really starting to show that, that some of that football pedigree of a lot of these players, no doubtly played football going up at some point. And the obviously with Thomas Ramos shifting to 10, with Antoine Dupont returning, the style of the kicking game of the French is so fluid. And it's so like out of the left field, out of multiple players with the same ability. Especially the two key players, obviously Dupont and Ramos. It's so hard to defend. It's so hard to defend. There was a number of opportunities where just like the accuracy of like the 50-22s that was shown tonight. They can just put the ball to their boot anytime they see a space, and in an instant they're able to capitalize on that for their own benefit. It was quite impressive, to be honest. I thought. And this was a clear change of direction from where the French wants to be, especially with a big question mark with whether or not they want to continue as with Ramos at 10. This is beginning to look definitely much better than they were at the Six Nations outings. And one of the interesting things as well, I thought with the French team, there is a saying that you can't coach speed and you can't coach size. So, and the French has abundance in both of them. Obviously they had a massive emphasis of just getting bigger front rowers in the four pack. And the speed factor from Bieri is just scary. It's absolutely scary. In combination with the kicking game, there's very little hesitation of the players to put a kick through, knowing that Bieri will be able to follow it up and pressure at this opportunity. And it's that the speed of decision making it very untelegraphed. That is the danger of the French attack I saw tonight. A lot of times the kicking, when a team does a kick, whether they're going to go for 50-22, you can sort of see it coming, and then the defense will kind of adjust, and that's why it's pretty hard to get some of these kicks off, because the opposition can sort of see people are lining up. But the French, they can just go for it at an instant split decision, and with the accuracy of the kicking and with the follow-up they have with the speed. This was very, very, very good for the French. For the Argentinians, once again, they were down. They had 2 yellow cards early in the game, and then it was looking like they were down and out, and they fought back, got themselves back into the game, but wasn't quite enough to close out the match with the French kicking game style, just immediately able to strike out of nowhere when you catches you off guard. The Argentinians wasn't able to do so. I think reflecting on the performance of Argentinian side for the year, it's definitely, I think a lot of Argentinians are pretty happy with the progression. The team has has completely moved away from that inability to have consistency over the years. And really becoming more consistent, being able to compete in these high-level games, and especially when they're down and out in the previous years, especially when they're down by a lot, they kind of just fall out further and kind of can't pull themselves back together. They have once again and again and again every week to pull themselves back from the depths to get themselves back into a position to potentially take the game again and again each week. And I think that the discipline issues is something that the Argentinians will have to look at once again. Is starting to creep back into the fold. It was again a plaguing issue in the past, and it has gone out of the. It has been It has been kind of gotten much better. But tonight's performance was once again a little bit of a backstep for Felipe Contepomi to have a talk about with his with these players. The French also did really well as dominant tackles. I thought the Argentinians is also very physical team, the Argentinians, but the amount of dominant tackles the French put out on the field was just scary. Like the crunching tackles again and again and again, pushing the Argentinians back. Just, you know, if you have a dominant tackle, it is cascade into having a breakdown dominance. And again, the French was able to turn off a lot of breakdowns over the Argentinian sides following those dominant tackles. And overall, there was a huge period where the French, on the back of the dominant tackles, was able to beat Argentina down the middle of the field, beat Argentina out wide, and beat Argentina over the top with their kicking game. So it is very, very, very dominant performance of the French team tonight. And I thought the scrummaging was a bit of 50-50 today. There was a couple penalties against Argentina for early push, but I thought it was overall. I didn't think there was a particular advantage over maybe a slight advantage to the French, not too much. The Lionel Argentinians was able to use that to get themselves back into the game a little bit. They went for the more. The French defended well, but the Argentinians was able to eventually rumble over with that setup. And I thought that's probably one of the positives came out of the Argentinians' performance tonight. And goal kicking, extremely good, both teams. And I think that, the speed, you can't teach speed, you can't teach size. And that came in very, 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 very abundance tonight from the French team, and with a very good defensive technique as well. And they're going to be looking pretty good for the Six Nations title coming up next year. I do have a little bit of a grievance with the TMO tonight. I think that there was a number of seemingly dangerous play, like a lifting tackle, or I thought it was a couple head-on-head contacts that was not looked at. For both teams, not just any team in particular. I thought that was a little bit lackluster. The what do you call it? The referee on the field, Luke Pierce, was clinical with a lot of his decisions. I do think that some of these decisions that he claimed that the TMO looked at, I would really like to see a replay at some point to see what exactly happened, because you saw something in the long shot, and then referee Luke Pierce just says the TMO has looked at it, but there was no replay for the fans to have a look at for themselves. I was a little bit disappointed by that. So anyway, let's have a look at the results. 37 points to 23. There was 1 point before Bieri scored this try. It was looking like Argentina was kind of getting themselves back into the fight, but it was not to be. The match stats: 4 tries to 2, 390 run meters to the French to 551 to the Argentinians. They really fought themselves back hard. And the one reason the run meters isn't as high as the French is because of the kicking game. The efficiency of the French kicking game, just grab the ball behind you into your 22, and also just little dinks over the top. And following that through with Bieri, it was just outstanding all around the park for the French players. 12 turnovers conceded for both teams. 167 tackles for the French, 26 missed tackles, 142 tackles made for Argentina, 28 missed tackles, quite even in terms of tackle count. Kicks in play, 26. This is what I was talking about with the French. Argentina, 22 kicks in play, 882 kick meters for the French, and Argentina 636. So they definitely lost the kicking game in distance as well. In addition to the follow up from those kicks game, from those kicking game as well. There wasn't much of a high ball kind of bomb. Too much of that from the French, but it was more of a like a surgical style of kicking down the for the 50-22 or kick for a chase for Bieri. Lineouts quite even overall. There was 1 lineout loss for either team, 6 for the French overall, and 10 for the Argentinians. Scrums, 1 loss for the French, 2 loss for the Argentinians. Like I said, I didn't think this was particularly due to any team under pressure. I thought it was both pretty much 50-50 calls. Argentina got penalized a couple times for pushing early. There was 1 collapse of a scrum on the French. I thought it was like a 50-50 call. I thought maybe both went down, and maybe the French team, the French prop, I think it was Vardy, touched the ground maybe just a little bit earlier. The referee was having no resets at all this game. According to the law book, if there was an early push for the first at least once, it should be just a reset, or maybe a short arm, right? The referee did not entertain that option at all. Just went straight for the penalty. Like, you push early, straight for the penalty. No short arm warnings, sort of speak, and directly just kept, just immediately penalty if you deem that there was a slight infringement in the scrummaging. Penalties conceded: 10 against the French, 9 against Argentina, 2 yellow cards. There was an interesting roll, like a crocodile roll. They called a crocodile roll with Julian Montoya landing on the player's leg. Watching replay, it wasn't really a crocodile roll. Julian Montoya kind of pushed him from the side and hooked his leg and landed on the leg. So that's the reason it was only a yellow card. I do think that it could be argument for the red card, but it wasn't the fact that it wasn't a roll. He didn't roll the player and then land on his leg. He kind of pushed him from the side, hooked the leg, and then landed on the leg. A bit of a difference there. So he got away with the red card there. And I think later on there was a deliberate knock-on by Argentina into touch. I thought it would have been a yellow. Initially, the referee decision was that, so there was a kick behind, and Bieri was going to get there for a try. The Argentinian player knocked the ball out of bounds. I thought that is in itself was already a yellow card, right? You can't just knock the ball dead directly from play. But the referee actually said if the ball had gone backwards, it would have been fine. But he had gone forward regardless. I don't think that's correct from Luke Pearce. Deliberately knocked the ball out of bounds, especially in a position where an opportunity could score a try. It's a yellow card. Just knocking the ball dead deliberately is already a penalty. In a situation like that, if whether or not it went backwards, it should still be a yellow card just because he knocked the ball directly out of bounds. And then the referee decided ultimately it was a yellow card because he knocked the ball forward as a deliberate knock-on. Again, the right decision outcome was made, but I don't think the decision was completely correct from Mr. Luke Pearce tonight. So let me know if that's correct. I know Luke Pearce is one of the best referees in the world, so it's more likely that I'm wrong than he was wrong for this one. Just let me turn this light on. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that, of what you think of that decision. So yeah, with that being said, let's recap on some of the moments of the game. So it took about 8 minutes before the first try was scored for the French. The French was very dominant early on with strong tackling, getting Argentina on the back foot. There was I think a scrum penalty as well against Argentina early, but eventually 8 minutes into the game, there was a 50-22 kick by Gael Fickou. There was then the line out came out. Dupont got the ball, looped around, crash ball for Moefana, and then quick ball, cut one pass to a flat ball, front foot flat ball to Flamont. Too big, too flat, straight over the gang line and too close to the try line, and went in for the try. 7 points to the French. 14 minutes into the game, there was penalty against the French after quite a bit of pressure from Argentina for offside, and Argentina kicked 3 points, 3 points to 7. 50 minutes into the game, there was a penalty against Argentina for hands on the go and then scooping back onto the ball. 10 points to 3 for France. There was an interesting photo here. I did notice that the Argentinian head coaches were wearing like beanies, and they had this logo on it, which is the Sports Latif, whatever it's called. It's a French brand, but it's literally got like the French logo on it, and then the French flag color on their logo. I thought that was a pretty big fail for Nike to not supply the team with their own beanie in cold weather. They had to wear the competitors, brand on live TV right in front of the camera. I thought that was really, really big miss there from Nike then. Time to short their stock, I guess. 32 minutes, after this one. So, so 20 minutes into the game, there was a penalty against France to kick another one, 10 points to 6. 21 minutes into the game, there was a collapse on the scrum, and the referee said that the Scalvi wasn't able to hold the pressure from the engagement and collapsed the scrum. And then they kicked the one from 50 meter out, Ramos, 13 points to 6. 24 minutes in the game, Pablo Matera gets a turnover, 13 points to 9. There was a nice, 50-22 after this from Ramos. 32 minutes, there was another massive build-up for the French team. 11 phases, just build. And this is kind of like you're starting to see that Ramos is not really a playmaker because he was just kind of like standing there. And Antoine Dupont is just telling the forwards to do all the hard work. After about 11 phases, eventually the ball kind of went out. There was a nice little hand out wide to, what's his name? Villiers, who ran this nice angle, cuts through the defense, winning for the try, 20 points to 9. Just before halftime, again, Antoine Dupont, there was a quick turnover, got the ball, immediately dinked the ball over the top, and this was followed up with Ramos scooping up the bounce, and then he put the ball down the field, and there was Bieri just bolting down the field for the ball, and then the Argentinian player knocked the ball dead, penalty try. So, and a yellow card, 27 points to 9 just before halftime, and then 39 minutes in the game, there was another penalty to France, and Ramos kicked this one, 30 points to 9. Yeah, halftime score, 30 points to 9 already for the French. Second half, Argentinians definitely made a massive effort for a comeback. Early on, this seems to be like a lift tackle that was missed, then maybe a head collision as well by the TMO, and it took about 55 minutes for the Argentinians to finally give themselves a penalty. They have to back themselves for the line-out. They won for the line-out, the men won the ball. They got pretty close, and then eventually Thomas Gaggio, the guy that has been one of the most dangerous players in the Argentinian team when he's very close to the try line, delivers again like he did against the All Blacks on his debut. Pick and go, leg drive, try time, 16 points to 30. 57 minutes into the game. It's looking like Argentina is getting on the front foot. There was I think there was a poor clearance kick that was charged down by Olivon, and then eventually the ball was kicked down the field to the French, and there was a counter attack. The ball went out wide to Bieri. He grabbed the ball, the kick behind, followed himself through, ground the ball. Beautiful individual performance. Try, 37 points to 16. 39 minutes into the game, the Argentinians once again was just using their physicality, getting a penalty. They went for the line out. The one for the when there was, I think there was scrum there as well. They just built a lot of pressure, a lot of faces, and then eventually it was just forwards pick and go, and Ruiz picks this one, 37 points to 23 with about 10 minutes left. At this point, the French has seemingly they put on Garrick, the other halfback, at 9, and they have Antoine Dupont at 10. It looks like Dupont was not at the breakdown. I don't know. It's interesting setup. I just don't think that. I was just looking a little bit. Yeah, it's not quite the style I think suits for Dupont, because Dupont likes to get more involved with the ball, and also like Garrick's delivery of the ball, it's not nearly fast enough to capitalize on a lot of the opportunities that Antoine Dupont will like to do. So I'm not sure this is the right setup for the French, but they wanted to try this because they don't want it to have Dupont play full. They don't want it to. They want to have Dupont to play almost the full 80 minutes, but they don't want it to risk not having a halfback on the bench in case Dupont gets injured. So it's kind of like they have to have a halfback reserve, and then it's kind of like they don't really want to use that. It almost feels like a waste of a reserve. So to try to maybe fit Dupont in a different position and have the reserve come on as the 9. So it is an interesting dilemma here for the French. They don't want to take Dupont off, but they also need someone to cover him on the bench. But they don't want to just have the cover. You don't want one of the reserve to be never used because you have Antoine Dupont playing 80 minutes, right? Finally, there was a try by France on 78 minutes. It looked like they may have just sealed the deal, but no, it was denied because there was a knock on leading into it, and that was pretty much it. 37 points to 23. Outstanding performance by the French, dominant performance, physical performance, and I think the Argentinians shouldn't feel too bad about this. This is a much better French team than they were in Six Nations, and Argentinians again show a lot of heart and grit to pull themselves back from a 30-point to 9 halftime score to almost putting the French a little bit of a position for a comeback. And so this was definitely something that Argentinian players can be a little bit. I wouldn't be too disappointed about this. So yeah, let me know your thoughts about this game, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later for more reviews. Cheers.